Hey friends, and welcome back. I made a rookie mistake. I went out to the garden because I knew I just needed to get enough stuff for dinner, and I didn't bring a basket with me, and I always do that. And then I end up carrying vegetables in my pockets. I have them going all over the place. So I'm excited for today. We have a lot to get done. First, we're gonna start off making some stuffed poblano peppers. My mom always made stuffed poblanos growing up. I'm not a huge fan of stuffed bell peppers, but I love stuffed poblanos for some reason. I know they're pretty similar, but to me they taste different enough that I really love stuffed poblanos. So I'm gonna do it a little different than normal. And normally we would just do some like cheese and kind of make like a chili relleno out of it. But today I'm actually going to do like a stuffed pepper, but in a poblano instead. So we're gonna use some elk, we're gonna use rice, beans, cheese, tomatoes, all of the good stuff, and we're gonna make some stuffed poblanos for dinner. Then I still have a little bit of shredded zucchini left from our zucchini preparation day, and I wanna make sure this is not going to waste, so we're gonna make some zucchini brownies. Now I know in the last video we made zucchini brownies, but cooked them a little bit longer and made them into muffins, and that's because I like that recipe for a cake, but I have a different recipe for brownies. This one's really ooey and gooey and rich, so we're gonna make zucchini brownies out of some of this, some poblanos, and then we're gonna see kind of where the night takes us and what else we get into. I have some peaches that need preserved, all sorts of things that we can do. So come along with me and let's get some things done. All right, I've got my extra big pan. We're gonna get warmed up and then we're gonna brown some elk. While that pan comes up to temperature, I'm gonna throw in some rice. So this is just drained jasmine rice, and I did 1.5 cups. We're gonna add in our water. And then I'm gonna top this with some seasoning salt. This is that seasoned salt we made together. Very similar to like a Lowry's. Okay, I'm gonna pop that lid on and let that rice cook. Our pan is nice and hot, so I'm gonna lay down some olive oil. All right, our oil's hot. Let's throw in our elk. And we're just gonna get this all cooked up and browned. All right, so to my meat mixture, I'm gonna add in 1 clove of garlic. So I'm gonna get that prepared up. That was like the easiest clove to peel ever. I'm gonna set that off to the side and I'm gonna get my poblanos cut up. And before I do that, my meat is actually about ready. So to this, I'm gonna just put in our clove of garlic. Give that a quick cook. Garlic burns really fast, so we'll cook it quickly. Next, you're just going to add in regular taco seasoning. If you have homemade taco seasoning, that is awesome. I'm just using some store-bought that I have here, but you're going to want to put in about 1 packet worth, and then you're going to toast that up before adding in water. So I cut it out here, but I did toast that for a minute or so. That way the spices could toast. A lot of them are fat soluble, meaning the flavor will come out a lot stronger in the fat, and then you'll go ahead and add a little bit of water. Now that water is going to enable us to deglaze the pan. So you'll see here, I'm just kind of not scratching the bottom, but I'm just kind of working the brown bits off the bottom using this wooden spoon, and that's where a lot of that flavor is. You get that depth of flavor through the meat with that, so you want to toast your taco seasoning and then add in your water. So now that that is all toasted, everything is lifted off, I am going to add in a few additional items to this. First thing I'm adding in is corn, and this is kind of in a cube because I had done an experiment. I had soaked out some of the liquid and then tried freezing it. Turns out that is not the way to do it, so I learned on a little bit of corn. No problem there, but I'm just going to add that in, let this kind of cube of corn defrost a little bit, and then we will add in some tomatoes. I do end up putting the entire bag of corn in. I just didn't want to put too much in, but this is really good sweet corn from a local farmer that's about 2 miles away from our house. So it's really, really fun to be able to use some of their produce while I'm waiting for mine. Our sweet corn is actually doing really, really well this year. I'm very, very excited for it, but ours won't be done for a little while still, and theirs was done much earlier. So I'm going to use that and be able to enjoy the great flavor. Then I'm just adding in about a half a jar of rinsed black beans, just mixing that in, and then we're pretty much done with this. We will add in the rice right before dinner, but it was still cooking at this point, so we're just gonna let this sit, and I just keep a lid on it on the stove until Sam gets home and is ready for dinner. All right, now we can finally get going on our poblanos. So I'm just spraying the bottom of this pan. And if you like a really cooked pepper, you're gonna want to stick all of your peppers in the oven and cook them for about 15 minutes. And that's how you'll get them cooked. I, however, just don't love a cooked pepper. I prefer my peppers to still be pretty peppery, like to still be pretty intact. I don't love them when they're I just feel like they get a little soggy. So I'm obviously very particular about my peppers. But I'm gonna not cook mine, but if you like yours cooked, you should do so now. So for that, you're just gonna do exactly this. You're gonna core them all, and then you will bake them at 350 for about 15 or so minutes, or until they're starting to look tender. Totally depends on the size of them. But I'm gonna do mine this way. And that's what I love about cooking at home. You can do whatever the heck you want, however you want. And we're basically just making little poblano boats. All right, friends, we're gonna get going on our brownies. Now this makes 24 brownies, but I'm gonna split it between 2 pans so we can eat one this week and then we can save one in the freezer. These do freeze really, really nicely. So first thing we need to do is cut up 2 sticks of butter. Now this is a dessert. This is not the epitome of health by any means, but it is so good. And it does have some vegetables in it, so we're good, right? So you just want to cut your butter into chunks. Doesn't need to be perfect by any means. We're just trying to make it so that it melts a little bit faster. Perfect. Now we're going to take this over to the stove. And I'm going to just turn this on a medium heat. Into our butter, we're adding in 2 cups of chocolate chips, semi-sweet. And then we're just gonna let this melt together. You wanna continue to stir it on and off, and make sure it does not come to a boil. While this heats up, let's go get working on the rest of the batter. All right, so to our bowl, we're gonna add in 1.5 cups of flour. This is a 1/2 cup. 1, 2, 3. We need 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, we need 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1/3 cup of baking powder. And by baking powder, I mean cocoa powder. We'll call that good. All right, we're gonna give this a quick stir. Now to our mixture, we're gonna add in 2 tablespoons of avocado oil. There's one. 2. We need 1 tablespoon of vanilla. The recipe calls for 1.5 cups of sugar. Our oven is preheated, but I'm gonna do 1 1/4. Then I'm gonna add in 3 eggs. 1. There's 2. And 3. And then let's give that a good mix. Okay, then we're gonna take the paddle out, and this is just the spoon that I was using to stir the chocolate in the butter. So let's get that all nice and cleaned off. All right, now I'm just gonna fold in our zucchini. And we're also gonna fold in our chocolate mixture once it's cooled so we don't accidentally cook the eggs. So while I wait for the butter and chocolate mixture to cool, I'm going to go ahead and get dinner finished. And what I love about this meal is you can prep 99% of it before you are going to eat. So I had all the components ready, and that way when Sam walked in the door and was hungry, we could get dinner done in about 10 minutes. So I added about 1.5 cups of rice into this, and then I am just filling in each of our little boats with as much stuffing as you want. I will say bell peppers definitely hold the stuffing a lot better, but this worked just fine. It honestly kind of turned into like a little casserole, and you just kind of dug in for your poblano pepper, and it was so, so yummy. So here you can see I am just topping it with some shredded, I think this was Monterey Jack cheese. You just want a nice melty cheese. And that was it. I popped it into the oven for about 10 minutes to heat all the way through, melt the cheese, and dinner was ready. So now while that is baking, that gave me about 10 minutes to get our brownies finalized. That way they could be in the oven while I am eating dinner. So just like our dinner, we had all the components ready. All I needed to do was just combine them now that this mixture was cool. So as you can see, I mixed in the butter and chocolate, and I'm just combining that. This batter will look very, very runny, but that is absolutely fine. That's exactly what you want. So I went ahead and decided to make some cupcakes and cupcake brownies, I guess, and also regular brownies. Now, learn from my mistake. These tasted really, really yummy, but the cupcake liners were really hard to get off because they are kind of ooey gooey brownies. We ended up eating our cupcakes with a fork, which not a problem, but it's definitely not something you would want to bring to like guests. It might be a little bit too messy. So if you want to use the cupcake liners, maybe try spraying them. That might work better, but I haven't tried it, so if you do and it works, please report back and let us all know. So you can see I kind of filled half of the brownie sheet with the batter. I wanted to make sure we had enough to make the brownies. That was my number one priority. And then with the rest, I'm just adding it into the cupcake liners. We did have a little bit left over, so with the leftover batter, I'm just going to go ahead and refill the rest of the brownies, just kind of top them off. And this honestly ended up being the absolute perfect amount. So now that these are all kind of ready to go, I take them and put them into a 350-degree oven, and the brownies baked for about 35 to 40 minutes, and the cupcakes baked for, I think, like 25 or so minutes. So that was it. Here you can see our dinner's ready. I pulled out some pre-made peach salsa, and we are ready to go. All right, friends, it is clearly the next day, and I am going to get going on this peach jam. So I want to first get our peaches peeled. So I'm going to just put little X's on the bottom of them and then plop them in some boiling water really, really quickly. We're just going to quickly blanch them, and that will allow us to peel all of the skins off. Then we're going to get our fruit all chopped up, and we will start making jam. So I am so excited. These peaches came from Palisade, Colorado, which if you are from around the area of like Colorado, Wyoming, you know that is like a delicacy around here. They are so, so good. There's actually a fruit truck that comes through about once a month, and they, during the summer, will bring in Palisade fruit for everyone here in the various towns throughout Wyoming. So that's where I get all of this fruit from. It's an awesome resource. It's literally just a group on Facebook, and they just post in the group when they'll be coming. I know the farmers markets around here also have a lot of Palisade peaches, so if you're interested in getting some, definitely go check those out, but we're gonna get these processed. So all we're gonna do is just very lightly put an X, and I mean, it takes like no pressure, down at the bottom. And we're gonna put these in the water for a minute, and it's going to just release the skins from our peaches so that they're way, way easier to peel. I know you can peel them with a peeler, but I find that so hard, and the fruit becomes so dang slippery that I don't love doing that. So I like to do it this way instead. So I'm gonna get X's put on all of these. All right, well, that's coming to a boil. I have filled up my canner, my water bath canner, with jars, and I'm just going to sterilize them. So to do that, all you do is just turn on the heat. I put the lid on it to help the heat come up faster. And then you're going to bring them almost to a boil, but not quite. And that is how we sterilize the jars to make sure that they are safe and clean for canning. Okay, our water is boiling. I'm gonna drop peaches in one at a time, and I only do a couple because we only want them in for about 30 seconds. We're not trying to cook them, we're just trying to blanch them a little bit, and then if you want, you can test it. See how that's peeling back? It's good to go. I'm gonna drop it into some cold water, and we'll continue this process until I have all of the peaches blanched. All right, we have all of our peaches here. Ooh, that was a balancing act. I'm gonna offload them onto this towel because I need this bowl for our cut peaches. I try to keep my dishes to a minimum, especially when I'm using big bowls and big pots and that kind of thing. That just makes my life so much easier. All right, I'm gonna go dump this water out in the yard. That's what I tend to do with like clean water like this. I just water a plant with it. And then we're gonna use this bowl for our canning, or for our crushed peaches. Okay, so that one I just rubbed the skin off and then put it under some water. This one does have a not beautiful spot, so we're gonna pull that out. And then we're gonna core each of the peaches, which gets a little hard when it's, peel this, gets a little slimy and slippery. And then we're just gonna, dice them up. Just like that. We're gonna repeat the process for all of the peaches. And you can see you just literally peel back the skin with your fingers. It's not the most glamorous job, but the peels do come off really, really easy. So I'm just gonna be sitting here peeling peaches and dicing them up, and then we can move on to our next step. I think peaches are some of the prettiest fruit. Like, that is a peeled peach, and it is seriously beautiful. All right, friends, it's time to get going on this. So for one recipe, we need 4.5 cups of peaches. Three, 4. Let me grab a half cup. Okay, there's our half, and I think we can actually get a double recipe. So 1. I'm gonna add in 1/4 cup of lemon juice. And I'm using the reduced sugar gel for this. So what we need, since I'm doubling this recipe, is we're gonna mix 2 packets in with a 1/2 cup of sugar. And this is what's gonna help it actually like gel up and become a jelly. Otherwise, we would basically be making peach syrup, which would also be good, but that's not what I'm going for. Now, since I'm doubling the recipe, I need 5.5 cups of sugar remaining. And that's the crazy part. This is the low sugar recipe. Okay, now I'm gonna add in my Sure-Gel sugar mixture and 1 teaspoon of margarine or butter. And that just helps make sure that the foam goes down. So I'm gonna turn on our heat. Give this all a nice good stir. And I don't know why, but I went a little rogue on this day. So you should actually put in the fruit, the lemon, and the Sure-Gel mixture with the sugar. Then let that come to a boil. Then once that's boiling for 1 minute, add in the remaining sugar and the margarine. And that is actually how you're supposed to make this. I don't know what I was doing this day, but I will, little spoiler alert, say it worked out just fine. Everything gelled. It was not a problem. But watching this back, I laugh. I'm like, what was I doing? And we're just going to keep cooking this until it comes to a rolling boil. So that'll take a little while. So now we want to just skim off any of the foam. Excellent. And then I just have this clean measuring cup, and I'm just going to use that to fill in our jars. And I'm going to start like this because most of the fruit kind of gets to the top. So since the fruit was floating, I wanted to make sure that we had a good amount of fruit in each of these. So I started just kind of layering them all with fruit, and then I go through and fill them with the liquid. And for these, we're going to fill them up to 1/4 inch of headspace. So I'll come through and kind of perfect that at the end. All right, now I'm getting down to the liquid portion, so I'm going to get the headspace right on each of these. Okay, well, that was literally perfect. Love it when that happens. Now I just have this rag with vinegar on it. I'm gonna go, first I'm gonna clean my hands. All right, my hands are clean. I'm just gonna run this along the outside and make sure we get any of the air bubbles out. Now here I just am using a paper towel because it is really, really sticky, covered in vinegar, and I'm wiping the rims. You can see that there's a lot of stickiness all over the rim of the jar, and we don't want that to create a false seal because of the sugar. So it's really, really important you don't skip this step and get the rims very, very clean. Then once they're clean, we can go ahead and start putting our lids on. It's just so, so important that you don't have any oils or anything sticky that would potentially create a false seal or prevent it from sealing. Then at this point, we just put our lids and rings on, and you just want to tighten it to fingertip tightness, and then we are ready to get it in the canner. All right, into the canner these go. Perfect. And they go. I'm gonna let them process for 10 minutes as the base, and then you'll just adjust for altitude. All right, friends, due to my altitude, I processed for 20 minutes. That is all done, so I'm gonna let these sit here for 5 minutes, and then we'll pull them out. All right, friends, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for coming along on all of these evening adventures that we have. If you enjoyed today's video, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye, friend.